r/AskReddit. What's the one thing you regret doing for your wedding day? Not preparing a speech. I thought I'd just go up, thank everyone for coming, and sit back down. Short and sweet. Get it out the way. That's exactly what I did. Without mentioning my parents or my wife. I did the same. Normally a very good public speaker, but a couple of champagnes down, and the excitement of it all, I did not deliver. Edit. My wiener works fine now. Thanks everyone. I was the best man at my brother's wedding. And as I gave the speech, after each sentence I would take a sip of the beer I was holding. When it came time to drink the actual toast, my glass was empty. The video shows me with a remarkable "what happened" look on my face. I had composed my speech earlier, but I did make an on the fly edit when I realized that my opening line, "Here's to cooked white bread," might be interpreted as a slam on the bride. Inviting 75% of the people, most of them I never see and are not involved in our lives, would have rather spent the same amount of money on 25% of the people and had one hell of a high-end party. My uncle, whom I rarely see, gave us a check that covered half the expense of the wedding. We paid for everything ourselves and had saved up ahead of time. So that was a nice seed in our home buying fund. Edit. Someone who called me bro wanted to know the figures. Despite this I realized it doesn't really matter. So, our wedding cost $10,000 and my uncle gave us $5,000. My recommendation, see him more often. Not paying attention to the photographer more. We gave him a list of things he needed to shoot for portraits. And he forgot to get a picture of me, my wife, and my parents. What in hell did he shoot? The shadowy face of God. I think he means that the one group shot they forgot about was the one including Op's side of the family with his wife. Not that they didn't shoot him, his wife, or his parents at all. Inviting people I didn't really want to invite. They just cost you money. You don't interact with them at all. And they usually don't bring a nice gift to make up for it. Except for letting all of the divorced aunts and uncles bring +1s. Because that led to a whole jealousy competition train that was extremely entertaining. My wife and I felt this way too. My mom was very insistent that we invite her cousin who she had only seen once in about 20 years. She lives on the other side of the country, so we all expected her to decline. Turns out that her husband, and their 3 children who were not invited were all going to be in a close-by city the week leading up to it. So they would just extend their trip. My wife and I were especially annoyed because they self-invited their children. But we decided to let it go and didn't want something like this to be a downer on our wedding day. Well, they turned out to be extremely nice people. They were very social, dancing, and just in general having a good time being a part of the whole event. They also gave us one of the best gifts we received. $500, an iPod, and a gift certificate to a nice restaurant in our city. Edit. Changed wasn't to was in the second sentence. Probably because they are normal people and realize that they, even though they self-invited their children, they could make up for it with the gifts. Letting my mother-in-law have any say in anything. She ruined the food. How? She refused to let this chef do our wedding because she called back to see if we wanted to use her, and that bugged the mill. Instead we had a grocery store do it. It was awful. We ran out, and my wife and I didn't get any food. I regret the coordinator they gave us for the ceremony. Dude got flustered and started second guessing everything right before the ceremony. Like he somehow forgot how a wedding works at the last moment. When all of our guests were there. OMG, what song do you want to play while she walks down the aisle? I dunno dude. The one everyone walks down the aisle to. The wedding song. The one we already told you to play. I ended up taking charge and sorting everything out. Really wish I could have just gone with the flow on my big day. I'd get some money back. If by some you mean all, then I agree. Not taking a picture. We just did a quick wedding for legal purposes with my friend presiding and aunt and uncle as witnesses. It was a nice little sweet ceremony that lasted about 10 minutes over a nice area with a view before we went to dinner. Didn't realize we hadn't taken any pictures until like a week later when we wanted to show someone. Whoops. Can you stage it again? For the memories? I had similar feeling with my pregnancy. I just felt weird and awkward and refused to take any pictures of myself. Then, baby came. I was making an album of her birth first year and realized I had more pictures of her from an ultrasound than myself pregnant. That one was unfortunately impossible to stage afterwards. But you still could do yours. Maybe for an anniversary or something. Just chuck a pillow under your shirt and do that pregnant walk around with a hand supporting your lower back thing and take some photos doing random tasks. No one will know the difference, haha. Having an outdoor wedding in August in South Carolina. Timing necessitated it. Otherwise I loved my wedding and love my wife. Better than my cousin having a wedding in Wisconsin in January. We went down to the lakefront of Lake Michigan to take pictures. The pictures turned out like it cause everyone was freezing. What were they thinking? Yeah, the lake is pretty in winter. Especially on a clear sunny day. But expecting people to stand outside in the snow during the coldest month of the year is just rude. I've been married for 16 years now, so this is a little old school. We bought a bunch of disposable cameras and set them all over the place at our reception with a note on them that said take some pictures. At the end of the night we collected all the cameras and had the film developed. Most of them turned out really cool and we got some pictures we would have never thought of taking. The regret comes in me underestimating some of my friends' ability to be adults for one night and ended up with a lot of Ike pics also. Lol. I'm guessing a lot of people getting married today could just set up a Instagram account and just have everyone upload cell pics to it. Ha. We did this too. Our problem was the lighting was dark enough that the pictures just didn't turn out great. There is actually an app/website called Wedpics or something like that, where everyone can upload pictures from their phone and they can be seen by anyone who has the code. Google Photos lets you make a shared album that anyone can contribute to. My number one regret is telling people not to take pictures. I know it sounds dumb, but it is much worse than that. In our agreement with our photographer, she told us that other cameras were not allowed as the flash from another camera could ruin our pictures. So we politely told people to refrain from taking pictures and explained the situation. We had a great wedding, and the photographer even sent an extra photographer to work the wedding, 2 instead of 1. A few weeks after we tried contacting her for the photos, we got ghosted. We tried for about a year to track her down. We were still willing to pay for the photos, even unedited. We just wanted the photos. Fortunately some people didn't get the message, so we have a few, 10, 20, photos from our wedding. The worst part was that someone had contacted my wife through FB 2 weeks before the wedding warning us about her, but we decided to take the risk because there probably was no way to get another photographer in that kind of time. When she showed for the date we were relieved and thought we dodged a bullet. Who the duck goes to weddings pretending to be a photographer? It would make for a great scam, I guess. Wedding photos. 1. Cost an obscene amount. 2. Require a good portion of the money up from. 3. Do not require you to actually produce anything until after the events are over, allowing you to just do whatever at the site and then ghosting. At a certain point you may as well just shoot the damn thing, but hey, I'm not a fake photographer. Not paying for a cleaning company at my venue. My wife and wedding party had to still 2 hours later to clean up to get our deposit back. Edit. Holy hell, this kind of blew up. To go in a little further, me and my wife got married through a venue company that owned a few venues throughout the area. This one happened to be a restored barn. The company allowed us to either pay a $400 or something. It was a few years ago, cleaning deposit, or to pay a $200 or something cleaning fee. The deposit was refunded depending on how well you cleaned up after. To save more money for the honeymoon we choose deposited us, and the wedding party stayed 2 hours later to clean up the venue. I don't know if this was a US thing, only really looked at the one venue and my wife fell in love with it. The $200 cleaning fee was so they could pay another company to clean. Could have been worse. None of the guys in my brother's wedding party decided to help clean, so it was me and the bridesmaids. That sucked. Oh damn man. For me it wasn't bad that we had to hang out and clean with friends. It sucked that I had to spend my wedding night cleaning with friends rather than other stuff with my wife. Your brother sounds much worse though. Not hiring a photographer. We thought we'd save money and just ask friends to take lots of pictures. They took some, but I have maybe 5 pictures worth looking at. No pictures of the cake or table settings. I kind of remember what they look like. The only decent pic of my husband and I has our flower girl in it. She's sweet and I love her. But it looks like she's our kid. Every time people see the photo there, like I didn't know you had an older child. Hire a photographer people. You frightened me now, because I get married in 40 days and we're not having a photographer because there is no money left. Welp. Edit. Based in the UK, Hampshire. Second edit. Very kind advice guys. I've had some offers from family/friends and my bridesmaid's partner is bringing his drone. How cool is that? Glad I panicked now and started chatting to people about it. The drone is for flying overhead outside at the reception. I used Thumbtack and posted our price we wanted to pay. Got a response really fast. Lots of amateur photographers, but have quality photos and are really trying to get their name out there. Try that. Letting other people help pay. As soon as that happens they take over the wedding. Guest list. Decor. Cake. Everything. Edit. Wow, this post blew up. I guess people have different experiences, but let me lay out some of mine. Uncle offered to pay for the limo. Great. But it turned out to be this busted 1980s limo with a spider-webbed window and no hubcaps. What looked like a homeless driver. He literally went on Craigslist and got the cheapest one with no research. We called an Uber. In-laws offered to pay for half of the catering, which is how our guest list was 70 people, but 200 plus showed up. Would have been fine if they would have told us so we could adjust catering. But no. We had to have the caterers adjust on the fly and drag some tables out of storage. And then we had to order pizza for the rest. People we actually wanted there were eating ducking pizza on dusty tables. Other uncle offered to pay for airfare for the honeymoon, which is how our 18-day trip turned into 12 days because that was the cheapest ticket. Brother-in-law paid for the wine, which actually turned out fine. But we didn't have enough because of all the completely unexpected guests. All we wanted was a smallish celebration with 75 people and to have an awesome wedding. But we wound up with a big celebration that was kind of mediocre and really stressful. In-laws actually told us we could not say hi to our actual friends because then we'd have to go to each table and say hi to everyone to be fair, which would have took 2 hours, which caused an argument. Maybe your families aren't that type, but I wish we had just did our own thing and not accepted any help. My mill-to-be is funding the entire thing. We had some input, but not a ton. Oh well. We couldn't afford to do 1/10 of what Mill wants. So if she's willing to pay for it, I'll take the good with the bad. Edit. My mill is rad. You'll need to cool it. It's not nearly as bad as everyone thinks it is. Be careful, that can be a slippery slope. Ducking, like and subscribe.